Welcome back to the Melbourne Retro Gaming Podcast. This is episode 2. My name's Scott, and I'm joined with Parpo as always. How are you, Parpo?
I'm good, Scott. How are you?
Not too bad. Let me just turn down that music a little bit because it's a touch loud. And that's probably the required volume there. Okay, yeah, so what's going on?
Not much.
Just keep it real.
Day of work, really.
That's no good. I'm sorry to hear.
That's what we're going to do to buy more video games, don't we?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, thinking about the mortgage and life expenses.
It's all about the video games.
That it is. That it is. And that's what we're going to talk about today, amongst other things. So why don't we get the ball rolling and you tell me what you've been playing this last week.
This week I was playing like last week it's Shovel Knight. Still trying to get through that, and also I've been playing a fair bit of Call of Duty online with the missus.
Oh, the missus. For all you ladies out there, sorry. Please continue.
That's about it at the moment, to be honest with you.
Playing a bit of COD, yeah. So what, number 3 on PS4?
Advanced Warfare on the Xbox One.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a very good single player game.
Yeah.
But that was been like a year ago, and it's been multiplayer since.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. Well, I'm sort of playing Monster Hunter on Wii U. I got it pretty much with my Wii U, and yeah, I've just been putting hours into it. I'm not very far. I'm probably only up to almost completing the second set of quests. Because I didn't really know what to do with it for a long time. It's the first one I've played, but yeah, along with Mario Tennis in between that. And, yeah, I've been playing also a little bit of Paper Mario on 3DS. Just trying to finish that off, but I just can't work out what to do. It's one of those games where it's very, very challenging in terms of working it out, but yeah, it's fun. Put a lot of hours into it though. I just wish I was further through it.
How are you finding Monster Hunter with the whole gameplay value of it all?
Yeah, I really like it. It's a different sort of game that I've played where it's, it's really based around the quest and that's pretty much it. But what I didn't expect when I started playing it was that there was actually going to be cutscenes, and there is actually sort of loosely a story almost to it. You're trying to achieve something. So, yeah, I know that it's really big in Japan, and I guess it's not as popular here, but it's still cool to play, I guess. So,
I recently picked one up, to be honest with you, a couple of weeks ago, and it's on my to-do list.
Yeah.
With a backlog of games.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah. Oh, that's alright. I've actually started playing the new Tomb Raider as well, and I'm really liking that, because I really liked the first one. And this one's pretty much the exact same game, so I was like, this is great. It's great to just be straight back into it. So, that's fun.
Oh,
yeah.
That's something that I'm after as well.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cheap, pre-owned. I don't know how well it's selling, but yeah, I really like those sort of games.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting stuck into that a bit more. But yeah, anyway, well, I guess we'll just open up a bit of discussion on this week's episode. Let me look at the discussion board. Okay, well, let's talk about how we go about collecting. I know everyone sort of has a different way of doing it. And, well, I mean, a lot of people that collect, they sort of have an idea about what they want to get, whether it be, I want to get every Final Fantasy game, and then they turn to, alright, I've got all the Final Fantasy games, maybe I'll get all of the Japanese Final Fantasy games. And then it turns to, well, I'll get all stuff related to Final Fantasy and stuff like that. So there's collecting on a set interest or a set series of games, but then there's also collecting in terms of finishing a collection of games, whether it's 64 games or 64 games with box and manual or whatever it might be. But you personally, I mean, how do you go about it? I mean, where did that start for you? Was it just something you fell into by wanting to play lots of different things, or did you say, okay, I want to have a semi-complete collection, or
to be honest, it's more collecting the better games. I'm not looking for a complete set. I want games that have fun value to play. I'm not just looking for your Top Gun, where it's generally a bad game.
Yeah.
And a lot of people hate playing it because they can't land on the cruiser to refill.
Yeah.
I try and do it for your AAA games or your obscure games that are actually quite good to play. Yeah, no, so my collecting, I'll buy certain ones for different consoles that I own or do not own, but I will buy. And if it comes down to a new game, I'll do my research,
Yeah.
make sure it's at least decent.
Yeah.
If it's tend to be shit, that could be their opinion though, and I might still try it.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to cost value, because everything is just rising and rising.
Yeah, I know that's the biggest problem. I mean, especially when you've got your mind set on a few different games, and then you sort of get maybe 80% of them, and then you go to get the last couple, and those ones, because you're taking so long to get them, have gone up in price, and you're like, oh man, So, I guess for me, I mean, I always sort of collected Super Nintendo games, so that was just something that I did. It wasn't even like, is this game good? There was no way of knowing. I just sort of bought games for the sake of it.
Yeah.
But then what sort of got me into collecting was, I sort of collected for the PS2.
Yep.
But I was more getting titles based around, as I was just saying, based around sort of series of games or like whatever, like an anime or something like that. So I'd get, say, all the Resident Evil games. Or
Which are good games.
yeah, or the Dragon Ball Z games, or the Naruto games, and that was sort of the theme of my collecting. But then it became, I was actually searching on the internet, researching what games were good and what was bad, and I got really into survival horror games.
Yep.
I sort of wanted to get them all, so I'd go through the internet and I'd just jump on eBay. And the good thing about eBay with PS2 games, a few years ago, it was still really cheap. You could get a hard-to-find game for like $5 or $10.
Yeah.
Whereas the JRPGs on the PS2, they're always going to be pretty expensive. But you could still get, and you probably still can get a lot of cheap games. But I actually really enjoy playing the PS2. That's why I enjoy collecting for it, because it's fun to play, So
PS2 is a great console. I've still got, even though when PS2 first came out, I pretty much chipped mine, and I had a lot of burnt games.
yeah,
But after my original PS2 broke, I was buying nothing but games, and that was around the stage when I got my first job.
yeah,
So I've still got a big collection of PS2 games, and it just keeps growing because they're still cheap, and there's some great titles on there.
yeah. I remember coming to your house in the early days, before I'd started really collecting, and I'd see a big pile of games, and they'd still have like the pre-owned sticker on them from JB or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That's funny to see. And I'm like, I was asking you, and you're like, yeah, I'll get around to them. I bet you still haven't played them.
No.
Yeah.
I
But
haven't touched it.
that's the thing, though, when the Xbox 360 and the PS3 came out, PS2 games just got shelved and the prices cut. Sort of like what we're seeing now with the PS3 games
Yeah.
and the Xbox games. They just become really cheap and affordable. And if you're quick about it, you can take advantage of it. That's why when the PSP sort of became obsolete, I went out and bought, no joke, I'd buy 40 games in a weekend. Just go around and buy a shitload of games. $2 they were selling them for.
Yeah.
$5, 5 for 10, or it was nuts. I was like, this is awesome,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I've got such a big PSP collection. I love playing the system because you can play it on the go. So, I guess, being a collector, unless you've got your mindset on only wanting to collect for one thing, which I don't think you and I really do, when you hear about a good game, you're going to sort of go out and get it.
Yeah.
You're not just going to be like, okay, I've heard that game's really... You hear people that might say, oh, I remember hearing about that on the PS2 or something, but I'd never played it. I'd love to be able to play it. It's like, yeah, we'll go get it and play it, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What happens to these people's PlayStations and Xboxes when they stop playing them? Do they just go in the cupboard, or do they just disappear? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
One game that I wouldn't mind picking up is Shadow of Colossus, which is a very good game, and to be honest, back then I was more into my sporting games, so I never grabbed that. I grabbed a lot of adventure games of that sort, but now it tends to be jumping up in price.
Yeah, it's funny because I have memory... I didn't get a PS2 until 2006, and when I got it, it was pretty much I was working at Maya. I had money to burn because I didn't have any responsibilities, so I was pretty much what games can I buy? And I'd go around and buy, as many as I could. Transformers, I got that. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, iToy, it was all cheap. And I remember there just being like a whole, because I actually worked there and I could see the games, there was a whole reduced to clear table that had like 20 copies of Pokemon Ruby in the box, 20 copies of Emerald in the box, Sapphire, like all these Game Boy Advance games, and like they weren't selling. It's like, to get them now, it's like a gold mine.
Exactly.
But like, yeah, the PS2, like, I remember working in the games and seeing all the titles and being like, this game looks really crazy, but I just had no attachment to it. I was like, oh, you know, because I didn't have the system.
Yeah.
That's why I don't have like a promotional link to say the Atari or something like that, because I never had it.
Yeah.
You know, I can get one, but I'm not going to go like rush home to play it.
Yeah,
It'd just be something that I have, you know. Whereas Super Nintendo, I'm like, you know, we're listening to the music right now. Like, you know, we always talk about the Super Nintendo because we both had them. They have a lot of meaning to us.
Yeah.
But only recently have I really, in the last couple of years, been like, man, the PS2 is so awesome. I wish I had it from day one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very good console. I still play it to today. The last game I have been playing is I've gone back and played Jack and Dexter, the precursor, which was the first one, and that holds up in my opinion with graphics, gameplay. Yeah, it's a very fun game.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to remember the name of the game I got. I think it was Xeno something. I can't remember what it was. Xeno Chronicles or something. Xeno Chronicles. I can't remember. It was a PS2 game. Yeah, I got it cheap off a guy online, and like it looks like a really cool game. And I didn't even know what it was, but I saw the cover and I'm like, that's something I want to get because it's cheap and it looks obscure. Yeah. That's always what I'm chasing, sort of obscure games. I do that now with the PS3. If I go to a store and I see a game that looks strange, and I'm like, there's only one copy of it there, I'm like, because you'll notice a lot of Japanese games on the PS3, which are translated, are really cheap. They'll be like $29 or $20. So I'll just buy them because I know that like 20 years down the track, it's going to be so hard to find these games. Yeah. You know, whether it's rare or not. So yeah, I guess that's now it's just become like you want to get everything for everything, in a sense.
Yeah.
I mean, but obviously we've both got financial responsibilities, so it's like, what do you really want to play? All comes into it rather than what do you want to put on your shelf.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's more, I sort of slowed down on buying stuff just to have it a long time ago, and now it's like, you know, I really want to play this, but because of the time restraints, I'm still behind by, you know, so many games.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's good. Anyway, moving right along. So we had a question from PageMaster788 on Twitter, and she asked, if we were to get a gaming tattoo, what would it be of?
Wants to get a gaming tattoo. I've always been a big fan of Samus and Metroid. Maybe something along the lines of that. Something that not a lot of people have. They usually go for the Zelda or the Link.
Yeah, you see a lot of Zelda. You see a lot of Zelda Triforces.
Yeah, but something cool with the Samus shooting his ring or having a gunshot going, it'd be quite cool.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's funny enough you said Zelda, but I think I'd actually get a Link in the style of Wind Waker. I really liked that style of game.
Yeah.
That cel-shaded game, and I really like the art that was behind it, so something like that, I reckon. Because that's one of the few Zelda games I've actually beaten and taken the time to finish it, so yeah, I reckon I'd get that. Or, even though I don't really have a history of Mega Man games, maybe like Mega Man Legends on the PS1, I played a lot of that. Maybe I'd get that tattooed so that the Mega Man without the helmet on.
Okay. Where's with the hand look?
Yeah, the hand look, I like that look. Maybe that. Maybe it'll happen, who knows? Maybe Page Master, but who knows? Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, as far as, let's elaborate a little bit on it, as far as gaming tattoos, do you know anyone or have you seen anyone with gaming or, say, anime-related tattoos?
This guy I used to work with, actually had a few Ninja Turtles. I believe another guy I used to work with had Mario and Luigi on different legs. But that's as far as I know. I've seen
Yeah.
people who've got them, but don't know.
Yeah, there was a girl at my Japanese school's Christmas party who had. She changed her legal surname to Articuno,
Oh yeah.
the Pokemon,
Yeah,
for some reason. I don't know what was going on there, but she had, if I recall correctly, a Squirtle tattoo.
Oh really?
Yeah. Was it water? Yeah, Squirtle or Water Turtle, but it was really cool. I was like, that's cool. You know, like, obviously she'll be, like, shunned,
Yeah.
but, you know, I thought it was cool. A lot of people think it's cool. It
like
doesn't really matter what people think anyway, as long as you're happy.
Yeah, if you're happy with your tattoo, then that's what matters.
Yeah, I think it's like, if you're gonna get something, you're gonna have it for your whole life. Like, so if it's a passion and you're really, really into it, like, say you went out and got a Pokemon tattoo,
Yeah.
like, you would have played Pokemon back in, like, 1995.
Yeah. Like blue.
So
red,
that was
yeah.
almost 20 years ago, so that's like a significant chunk of your life.
Yeah.
And you've been a fan of it ever since, and you're still playing to this day, so it would be warranted for you to get a Pokemon tattoo and be like, I'm a fan of Pokemon, and I wanted a tattoo, so, you know what I mean? Like, you talk to people and they're like, oh, you play Pokemon, that's for kids. It's like, yeah, but they're still making new games. It's almost like sequels. It's like, yeah, but you'd go see the second Star Wars movie. Isn't that for kids? Who knows?
Exactly.
Like, so...
I'd probably still get shunned for having a Pokemon tattoo, but it's what you want, and if you're happy with it, then that's all that matters.
It's funny, isn't it? Because you walk around in like a gaming t-shirt, and people come up to you and be like, "Oh, sick shirt, man!"
Yeah.
You know. But then if you see other people, they'll be like, "What are you wearing that for? What are you, like 10 years old?" And you're like, "No,
Yeah.
I'm not. Just love them games." You know what I mean? So, but that's the thing. Like myself, I don't have a lot of mates who are really into gaming
Yeah.
or collecting, apart from you and maybe George and a couple others. But you know, like there is a whole, like you see Comic-Con and all that. There is thousands of people that are into games and comics and stuff like that. But like I don't know them,
Yeah.
so it'd be nice to have some friends who are into that stuff to actually talk and shoot shit about it. But yeah, that's the only problem, I guess, is I didn't really have a group of mates who are into that sort of stuff, and if I did, they're not into it anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How about you, anyway? Do you have a lot of mates who are... Do you know anyone else who's a big collector that you're close with?
To be honest, not really. You're the only one that back from high school. We've always collected a lot of video games and we've talked about it.
Yeah.
But in terms of close mates, I've had mates that we play a lot of video games together, but not so much collecting. They more come over and use what I've already got to play.
Yeah. I think a lot of people appreciate the collections rather than having their own.
Yeah.
You know, like when you talk about an old game or they come over and you're playing something old, they're like, oh, give us a shot, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, or they want to like talk about a game, you know all about it.
Yeah.
It's funny when you hear people like, you remember GoldenEye when you used to do this? And you're like, yeah, I was playing it yesterday. And they're like, oh. You know, I don't expect you to know so much about it.
We're playing it in Indians, actually.
Yeah, it's like, it's what I do. I just play old games because I still enjoy them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I could be sort of an up-to-date gamer as such and only play stuff that's new and trade it. Like,
No.
I couldn't do that.
See, we take advantage of the people who trade in their games because dang, it's cheap, we'll add it to our collection.
Yeah, I guess if you don't want it, or there's someone out there that's going to want it.
Exactly.
You can get it pre-owned and cheap. It's, you know, the thrill is sort of losing a bit of strength where you go out and you're like looking for something obscure and, you know, you're not really going to find it unless you're, you know, very lucky these days. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, let's talk about your favourite segment. Which games you've picked up lately. You want to get the ball rolling.
Which games have I picked up? I've actually got a few.
Got a little stack here.
Yeah, I've been purchasing for the Wii recently because games are on the cheap, and you can still get some really good ones. I've been going to the local EB Games and they've got a thing of buy one get one free at the moment.
Yep.
So I've been taking full advantage of that. I got Zack and Wiki, Quest for Barbossa's Treasure, Prince of Persia, Tenchu, Ghost Squad, which is an on-rail shooter like you find in the arcades like Time Crisis.
So you need an actual gun, a light gun to play that as such?
You use your Wii remote.
Okay, yeah, that's
got
right.
sensor. Now, one game that I was pretty happy to come across is Tatsunoko vs. Capcom on the Wii. This actually has the Mega Man Legends character involved in the game.
Yeah, I know, and it's also got a character from Evangelion.
Yes. We've got Dead Space Extraction, Red Steel 2.
That Dead Space is on rails, isn't it?
Yeah, that's correct.
Unlike the other ones.
Yeah, which is quite different from the series, and it actually takes place just before the first one, I believe.
Yeah.
We've got Boom Blocks Bash Party, which is a puzzle game.
Yep.
And that was actually directed by Steven Spielberg.
Okay.
Got a Cursed Mountain, which is like a survival horror game.
I think that's one of, only a few on the Wii.
Yeah. The Blob, where you go around painting the town, different colours. Mad World, I actually picked that one up for $4.
Who published the Blob?
Who published the Blob? It was THQ actually.
THQ, yeah.
Mad World, which is a black and white game, and pretty much the only colours you see is black, white, and red.
Voiced by the guy that does Bender on Futurama.
That's actually correct, yeah. Jodo Magic.
Yeah.
We've got Warrior Land, which is on Wii. I haven't seen Warrior Land in a long time.
Yeah, I actually really want to get that because I love the Warrior Land on the Game Boy.
Yeah. Number 3, I used to play a fair bit on the old Game Boy, and then I saw this, I'm like, oh, let's give that a shot.
Yeah.
Red Steel 2, which is actually a very good game. It's a lot different than the first one. The first one was actually quite bad with its controls as well.
Yeah.
This Red Steel 2 wasn't that known of because the first one was so bad. Picked up Guilty Gear, which is a fighting game.
Yeah, I remember when I got that one.
Epic Mickey, which is use your paintbrush to either colour in things or go through things, or you use paint thinner, and that gets rid of obstacles in your way. Takes you back to pretty much the old Mickey Mouse series, which goes back to the 40s and 30s. So you can play little mini games as well. It's quite cool. And you got Obscure 2, which is another horror survival game for the Wii, and that was a port from, I believe it was on PSP as well.
Yeah, PS2 as well.
Yeah.
I think it was on PSP. I'm not sure, but I know that Epic Mickey, the second one's on the Wii U and also on the Wii.
Yeah.
And it's apparently better on the Wii.
Oh, okay.
That's what I've heard. But I've got the second one on Wii U, but I haven't played it yet. But yeah, I heard, the Epic Mickey series, I think it's done really well. People really liked it, so yeah.
What about you, Scott?
Well, I had a sort of a funny, just little story from this afternoon, actually. I was in EB Games with my fiance the other day, and I saw, it's got the buy one, get one for free, as you were saying, but I saw the orange box there on the 360, and I used to have it, but I traded it in, which was stupid, so I ended up buying it again. And then when I was there, I saw The Witcher 2, which I haven't seen it, and I've got the new Witcher, I just got it, so I don't want to play that until I've gone back and played the second one.
Yep.
I don't know what the first one's on, I don't even really know the series until they release the new game, to be honest. Anyway, so
I think it might have been on PC.
yeah. Well, anyway, I let it slip, and I rang him up yesterday, and I said, "Oh, can you put it aside for me, and I'll come in and grab it." And I knew that it was buy one get one free, so I said to fiance, I'm like, "Oh, can you go down and grab it for me?" She said yes, and I said, "Okay." Well, there's a buy one get one free deal. Now, directly next to the game on the shelf, there's that Far Cry collection.
Yeah.
It has like the 4 games in it on 360, and on the other side of it is Dragon Age.
Oh.
And they're both under the price, so you can get it for free. And I said to her, just grab either Dragon Age or Far Cry as the free game. I rang her up before. No, she rang me. Rang her back. Said, hey. She said, oh yeah, I've got the Witcher for you, no worries. I go, okay, which 3 games? She goes, oh, I got Fallout. I'm like, Fallout? What do you mean Fallout? I'm like, did you even read the message? She's like, I knew it started with F. I'm like, ugh. Anyway, I've already got Fallout, but I can take it back and swap it out for something, but I don't know. Have you got it? You want it?
Fallout. Actually, all I've got is Fallout New Vegas.
I don't know which one it is. It might be number 3. She didn't say New Vegas, so if it's the that, I'll give it to you. But anyway, so
that's fine.
I went to get my new contract for my phone, and I got a new phone. And I was chatting to a mate, and he's like, "Oh, let's go and look at the games while you're here."
Yep.
And I said, "Okay." And he's like, "Yeah, I can help you out on price, or whatever." So I ended up chatting to the gaming guy while I was there, and he was just like talking about all these games, and I was getting pretty excited talking to him, and I was like, all right, well, what do you got for me? He's like, all right, well, he was talking about the new Assassin's Creed, so I grabbed that, and he said he'd look after me because they're all pre-owned, they can do a couple of deals on them.
Yeah.
So I got Assassin's Creed Syndicate on PS4, the Batman on Xbox One, which is coming out, Witcher 3, which I mentioned, the Uncharted collection on PS4, and Until Dawn on PS4. I got the new Destiny expansion on Xbox One, and then the Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain on Xbox One as well. On other systems, I got Splatoon finally. I can't help but when I play it thinking, why didn't they just make Mario Sunshine 2?
Yeah.
You're like spraying them anyway. Virtue's Last Reward on PS Vita. I'm going to probably screw this up. And I'm learning Japanese. I'm just trying to read the title. Onchanabara Chaos on PS4. Onichabara on Onichabara Chaos on PS4. Xenoblade Chronicles X on Wii U. And that was pretty much it for this week.
That's a lot of games for the
week. But he really looked after me on those games that I mentioned. Not all of them were from there. Virtue's Last Reward, I got Oz Game Shop coming up. But yeah, I sort of went a bit crazy. Just because he was helping me out and I was getting the phone and stuff, I was like, look, they're all pre-owned, he's looking after me. And I'm like, might as well just get them now because they're going to be cheaper in the long run.
Yeah.
And also I'm excited to play them. It's just,
getting around to playing.
I just hate the fact that with the Xbox One that you need to load on a game to play it. Like, I think I got my Xbox One and like 5 games a year after it launched, or say a year, and I loaded the games up and it was already full. Now I have to delete something, so I can't really play a new game until I beat another game.
It was ridiculous. I don't know what PlayStation or Microsoft were thinking with 500 gigabytes on just their consoles. I know now they got their 1 terabyte, but if you're going to load games on to make them quicker, you definitely have to make it bigger space.
Well, we live in an age where I've had a 1 terabyte hard drive since like 2005.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, why isn't it like 5 terabytes or something? I mean, that's a bit crazy. Why isn't it like 2 terabyte?
Yeah.
Standard. As if I'm going to rush out and get another PS4 now that's 1 terabyte. That's not going to help.
Exactly.
I don't have the money for that, or I don't know who would. I know with the Christmas rush, people would have got the 1 terabyte, obviously, but unless they said to me you can swap it out for 1 terabyte and pay $50 or something, then you feel a bit hard done by, because you're like, hey man, when I got the Wii U, I think it was 32 gig or 64 gig, which is nothing.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of age are we living in where we have 64 gig hard drives?
Yeah. At least on that console, you don't have to load the games on there.
Well, that's it. You're almost sacrificing to play off the disc, but the games are still awesome.
Exactly.
Like sometimes, like the good thing about Nintendo games, they're really bright and colourful, and they make you feel happy playing them.
Yeah.
Whereas, like the last thing you want to be doing is getting home with a brand new game, putting it in your console, and having to wait until the next morning to be able to play it, starting it up, and then going, wait, there's a patch that's another 500 meg.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man. So it's not only costing me in hard drive space, it's costing me in download usage.
And time as well.
Time, yeah.
And time's precious for us.
That's it, We don't want to spend time with our family and friends. We want to play video games. Come on, Microsoft. Give us like 2 terabytes. That's all we ask. Anyway. Alright, well, I think that'll wrap us up for this week. As always, we'll try to get them done weekly if we can. I know they're a bit rough at this stage, but they will get better.
Yeah.
So, yes, if you could please subscribe and keep listening. We appreciate it. Hit us up on Twitter at Melbourne Retro or at Retro Games Quest. And if you have any questions that you'd like us to answer or discuss on the show, feel free to drop them in. But yeah, stay tuned for more videos in the coming weeks.